Time for a day of falconing. Let's see. No sign of Sam or Joel or Casper. You're not Maltese, are you? What's this graffiti on the wall here? Hey, pal. Don't you even think about it. Hello, everybody. Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Kingdom Transformers review. And this time around, we're taking a look at another Beast Wars character. This is, and I hope I pronounced the name correctly, Airazor. Airazor is a female. She's a Maximal. But there's an interesting story behind the selection of her being female. Apparently, the story editors for the Beast Wars cartoon convinced Hasbro that they should make her female. That way it would add some more depth and dimension to the cartoon by giving it more of a female presence. Something that truly was lacking in the Generation 1 era, as they tried to keep female characters to a bare minimum. Of course, that goes without saying with the fact that the Transformers toy line was intended to be a boys' toy line. And both Hasbro and its rival Kenner both have the numbers to show that female characters don't sell well in a boys' toy line. As Hasbro's competing boys' toy line, G.I. Joe, had several female characters, but they were also a tough sell to boys. Kenner, of course, had the Star Wars line at the time, and of course, the Princess Leia figures were always the hardest ones to get us to boys to play with, or even want. But, as part of a more diversified audience, I'm kind of glad they included more female characters. The Transformers tried to introduce more females, but the only one that really caught on in the Generation 1 era was RC. And of course, it didn't take long after that the cartoon was pulled off the air. But nowadays, as we've been seeing with especially with the Netflix series and more modern series, they've included more female characters, and it has brought in a number of female fans. I've definitely seen some videos and airings of other Transformer fans of my age that are glad that there is more female characters, as it allows them to introduce their daughters to this fantastic toy line. So, more power to it. The interesting thing, though, about this is that for the Japanese airing of Beast Wars, the Japanese producers of the show were not informed that Airazor was intended to be female. So the character was presented as male. And since in the storyline, something of a romance blossoms between her and another Transformer, over in Japan, it comes over as a gay relationship, since Airazor and the romantic partner, Tigatron, were both males. Whereas here, in the States, Airazor was female, and Tigatron was male. Quite a confusing thing, isn't it? At any rate, let's take a look at her, and let's look at her articulation. Airazor can turn her head from side to side, and it is on a ball joint, so it will rock up and down. Her arms can be raised out about so far, and her arms do rotate at the shoulders. all the way around. You will have to shift her wings out of the way in order to get them to go all the way. You can bend her arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and she does have a swivel at the bicep. So she does have G.I. Joe battle grip. You can twist her at her hips. She can spread her legs apart into a full splits. Don't get ahead of me, boys. There's also a way to twist her legs around the kneecap, just above the kneecap. Her legs can be raised up at the hip about 90 degrees, and she can bend her leg at the knee almost 120 degrees. And she does also have articulation at her ankles, thus giving Airazor quite a range of motion to work with. Taking a look at her accessories now, Airazor only has 2. And I'm fighting to get them removed from her. There we go. Airazor has 2 rockets. They don't exactly explicitly explain what these are, but apparently they're a couple of rockets or missiles. And they both look exactly the same. Thankfully, they're made out of some modern gold plastic, so hopefully these won't break down in 30 years. Let's hope Hasbro has improved the technology for these by now. Okay, to transform Airazor, it's a pretty simple process. First thing we have to do is we go for her wings, and we raise the tips of them so that they're out like this. We're going to turn her around for a second because we fold her wings straight back like so. But then we also want to fold them out at this tab right at the shoulders so it gets her wings fully extended outwards. And also to make sure that all the tabs for them are flat. That gets her her full wingspan. And next we want to shift this back piece out just a little bit. And kind of pop free her tail feathers. These pieces are connected, so you do want to have to keep them out of each other's way here. And then next, we got to work to raise her body up, like so. Then you're going to take her head and her chest area, and we're going to rotate it so that it brings out the bird head, like so. And then, of course, we want to close the piece here on her back by bringing it forwards. Yeah, we got to shift her body a bit so that way these posts that are along here will line up and catch on her wings and thus hold her wings down. Just exactly like that. Excuse me for a second, my mail's here. Okay, to continue transforming her, we then next need to fold down her shoulder pads, like so. Then you're going to turn her arms at the bicep, so that this hole is facing you. And then we will fold her fists upward. We'll fold the fist, not the whole arm. And then you're going to slide her arms in such a way that her fists will enter a cavity that exists in the side of the body. You may have to shift the wings back a bit so that the cavity can be easily seen. It helps with the fact that there is a small post at the bottom of her hands, and they should slide into a groove that's alongside the side of her hips. In we go, just like that. There now. Once you have that done, we will rotate her at the waist so that the robot feet are at her back. Fold her wings back down. And do the same with her tail feathers. We come down here to her legs. You're going to rotate them at the knee, 180 degrees, so that these holes face the back. Then you'll rotate her feet at the ankle, and then fold them. So there's a small fold right there. That'll bring her feet down. Then you can fold them up, like so at the knees. And then we're going to bring them down and around. So as you can see on the inner thigh, there's a large hole here, and they should be rotated so that it connects to a gold post on the opposite side. Then, of course, once that's done, you can attach her missiles right back here. And then there you have it. Airazor transforms into a falcon. According to the Wikia, it's supposed to be some form of a peregrine falcon. Although I'm not an expert on falcons, so I don't know how accurate she is to one. But there is no doubt she is a falcon or some other type of bird of prey. And of course, articulation-wise, it's kind of limited. Bird's head can turn from side to side, and it is on a bit of a hinge, so it can be made to look down. Especially if the tab, it can even look more if the tab's not properly connected to help hold it in place. Which, of course, you can also bend the legs backward just a little bit to get her into a standing position. And the wings do have multiple flaps and whatnot. So you do get quite a range of motion. Kind of like that. You can even put her in a somewhat seated position, which doesn't look too bad. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Airazor? I think she's a great character to have. From what I've read of the Beast Wars cartoon, she was a valuable asset to the Maximals, especially with her being one of the few that could fly. So her inclusion here in the Kingdom line was an absolute must. And then when you consider the fact that she's only a deluxe class figure, her price point doesn't bite the wallet too badly. So I would definitely say this is a figure worthy of any fan's collection. Could she be better? Quite possibly. She could have been made to look a little bit better. But, seeing as I don't have the original toy to compare it to, I'd say this one's pretty good. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Kingdom version of Airazor. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and join our ranks. Make sure to ring the bell so you'll be notified when we post new content. I also ask that you share the video with your friends and fellow collectors. That's what helps this channel grow. And also, leave your thoughts about Airazor in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.